filmmaker, you have to be willing to take risks. And that means taking a risk creatively and financially. Any filmmaker that you have ever looked up to at some point in their career had to take a risk. Today, we're gonna talk about the importance of betting on yourself and the importance of creating stories that actually show your true vision and who you are as a director. Let's be honest, when someone clicks on your indie film, their first thought is that this is probably gonna suck. While I have seen amazing, incredible stuff shot on really low budget, I've also seen a lot of really bad stuff. Why? Well, because we're working with a limited budget, small crews, less experience, and the only shot that we have is by being bold and taking risks. That means creatively, visually, and of course financially. Rule number one is that you need to have high stakes. Most indie films don't give an audience a reason to care. The stakes are just honestly too low. And I get it, sometimes you guys are telling personal stories, and that's great. But you have to ask yourself, what is the emotional cost of the film? What does my character stand to lose? And why would the audience even care? Let's take The Sound of Metal, for example. It's a deeply personal film about a drummer who's in a band with his girlfriend who loses his hearing. But it's not just about hearing loss. It's about him losing his identity, his purpose, even his relationship. The stakes are emotional and existential, relational. You can feel the weight of it as an audience. You can see how much this means. Now, your stories don't have to have these life or death situations, but they have to have meaning, and your audience has to feel the weight of it. Now, rule number two is pacing. Pacing is so important when you're developing a screenplay or a script, probably the most important when you're in the editing room. One thing that I noticed right away is a lot of the times the pacing of indie films are so long and drawn out that the scenes that should be 30 seconds or 60 seconds are lasting way longer than they need to. Now, when I was developing the script for The Divide, I started at first by myself, and I noticed, I was like, honestly, the script is lacking. And I had to come to terms with myself and be like, okay, well, maybe I'm not a good enough writer to get this done. So I brought in a script writer and I started working with somebody. And when we started writing together, we started to stress test every single scene. We started to ask ourselves three things. And this is something that you guys should really think about. Number one, what is the goal of the scene? How does this develop either the story or the character? And then the last thing that you have to ask yourself is, what question does this raise or answer? And the thing is that after we stress test it, if it doesn't move the story forward, if it doesn't answer one of those three things, then we just cut it out. What's important to remember here is that you can't get attached to pretty cinematography and amazing ideas that you might have for a scene if it's not serving the overall story or building a character. Rule number three is take your time. And I think this goes for everybody in this generation. I really do believe that most people are incredibly impatient and they want to hurry up and finish something so they could go and throw it up on social media or YouTube and, get all of this notoriety and get a bunch of pats on your back. But the truth is that I really do feel like a lot of indie films that I step out and I watched, I'm like, man, you rushed the hell out of this. Lighting that just isn't good, the audio isn't properly mixed, or maybe just overall the scene and the story and the script isn't developed well enough. If you guys really want to make something great, it's going to take time, especially when you're competing against films that have huge budgets and big actors and experienced directors. You have to sit down and take your time if you want a chance at being able to put your film up next to those monsters in the industry. And just to give you guys some perspective, me and my team have been working on our film The Divide for 8 months now, and we just have been able to put together a trailer to generate more funding to go out and finish the rest of the film. And we probably shot about 25% of what we need to have a final film. A lot of you guys might think that sounds crazy, but there are films with millions of dollars behind them that go into production and they take maybe a year, 2-3 years to make. My advice to you guys is, after going through everything that we went through, is really take your time on every step of the process. The first thing that you really need to spend time on, and spend a lot of time on, is developing the script and your screenplay. Because the truth is that you do not have a movie without that on paper. Then once you have something that you really love on paper, then it's time to move into the next phase, which is pre-production, scheduling and figuring out how you're going to crew this thing and getting the right gear. And again, You don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars to be able to do this. You just need to take your time, and if you can't make a feature, that's okay. And if you think it's gonna be too long and too hard of a process to do, start off with something small. Make a 5-minute short film and take an entire month to do it. Give yourself that time. Don't just rush the process just because you want to get it out on social media. And if you guys really want to plan out the style and direction of your film, then you're going to need shot references, and that's why I use a website called Film Vibes. Film Vibes is a database with millions of shots from films, music videos, commercials, and TV shows. And what makes Film Vibes different from things like Shot Deck and FrameSet is the ability to download GIF files and MP4s to put straight into your storyboards, pitch decks, and shot lists. And what's really cool about it is that it showcases camera movement, so you could actually show what the camera movement and the scene needs to look and feel like to your entire team. And the other thing about Film Vibes that's really awesome is how affordable it is. And you guys can use my 20% off code down below off your monthly plan. Now, this is kind of a dodgy subject, and I want to be very clear on this. I am not telling you that you need sex, drugs, and violence and blood to make an exciting film. However, I think that as a filmmaker, you have to find how to make your film, whatever genre, whatever type of film that you're making, the most exciting it possibly can be. Let's take this office scene, for example. I think that if you just read the script, took this scene for what it is, you could have easily shot it as a really boring, mundane looking scene. However, the way I approach this office scene is imagining everyone in this office as a complete degenerate. I wanted it to be like the bottom of the barrel, grimy looking place where not only people had no futures, but it was just the epitome of greed and excess, using wide angles and putting it right up next to people's faces while they were eating a sandwich or while they were on the phone or snorting cocaine, and there were sexual moments added into the cuts. To me, it just made the whole thing feel like kind of uncomfortable. At the same time, it was one of those things that were like, as an audience, I don't think that you could look away, and you're definitely at one moment paying attention. So my point here is that when you guys are looking at a scene, whether you're the writer or you're just the director, I think it's important to take a look at it and go, what am I trying to accomplish here symbolically? How can I make this scene more interesting? How can I really express an emotion that maybe not on the paper, but something that could really give, a taste and a style? And I think it's very important to think outside the box of just what you're reading on the script. Now, rule number 5, and the last thing that we're going to talk about today, is taking a financial risk. And I hate to break it to you guys, but filmmaking is expensive. We have spent to date about $20,000, and we've only shot about 25% of the movie. Now, if you multiply that times 4, that's about $80,000 just in production costs. And then you're probably talking about another $20,000 to $50,000 in post-production. So this film is probably going to cost me well over $100,000. Now, I put up the first $20,000 just to get what we needed to go out and raise more funding. And the whole reason why I'm telling you guys this is that you have to be willing to invest in yourself. You have to be willing to put up the upfront cost, whether it's time, money. Yes, you are investing into these shots, and yes, the film is expensive, but you're also investing in education and experience and building your portfolio as a director and as an artist. Throughout this entire process, I have learned so much and gained so much experience with directing and producing this film, working with team members, and in every way, shape, and form, this is growth. And yes, it is expensive. So is going to college. So is going to film school. If you guys want my opinion, spending the money and making a film is the best film school that you could possibly go through. Now, me and my team have put out this trailer recently for our film, and if you guys haven't seen that yet, I'll drop a link down below. You guys can check that out. But the other exciting thing is that me and my team are also putting together a film course that breaks down our entire process and really is a case study of how we made this film from start to finish. You're gonna get everything from building the concept and the screenplay to the final edit and everything else in between. I really wish that I just had something like this before I went out and I started making my film, and that's truly what I wanted to create for you guys, is something that you guys can watch that isn't super expensive, that's very affordable, and you guys can watch it from start to finish and at least have a really good idea of where to start, how to go through the entire process at whatever level of filmmaker you are. So I want to thank you guys so much for stopping in and hanging out. My name is Alex Zarfati. I'll see you guys next week.